Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another session with Michael and I here on the Satanic Media Agenda Exposé slash Science is the New Religion and all that pertain to the above. Today's date is the 10th of June, 2023, and Michael and I are gathered over Skype in our international session. And I'm so thankful that we can do this, Michael, and we can go ahead and create this media with a collaboration from thousands of miles away. And we've done so for years now. And yeah, it's great to see hundreds of sessions make it up onto YouTube without any major problems. And it just so happens that you have shared with me personally that you have done all this research and you ended up with some conclusions you probably didn't expect a number of years ago. And I think that most of us and our listeners are, including myself, by the way, are very eager to hear what you have to say, Michael. So welcome today.
Yeah, hello, Brett. Hello, all these dear listeners out there. Yeah, well, I was thinking about doing some Bruce Lee things, and I was experiencing that the scripts got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I came to a conclusion which was hard to believe. And then I came in contact with somebody, and after that, I was just collecting more books and more books and more books, and all the things that did not make any sense. And then I came to my own conclusion and said I can never do any sessions about it because no one will. You can't prove anything, but no one will wants to hear the truth also. And then when I was studying it a few weeks ago, and I said I have to do it because there's so much material out there and there's so many things we have to do with the Bible also. I came to the conclusion, okay, let's get it on. But then it drew me to quite another direction. I said, oh, that is a more bigger and more bigger and more bigger and even more bigger picture. And then I found quite another direction. And then suddenly all the pieces were coming together. I'm not finished yet, and I don't expect to ever finish on that subject. But it's really something if you really combine anything. And we are just heading on. Where to start? I have so many pages, and I will provide you also, when the sessions will have a higher number, I will provide you with chapters of an audiobook which I found, which is very helpful because I don't want to have 20 more, 50 more, 60 more sessions on that subject around when there is already somebody who has been severely discovered and examined the case. So let's get it on. Let's get it on. Yeah, that's also the traditional way of dressing in Chinese. Bruce Lee is here wearing a Chinese outfit with the black, and he's fighting the Japanese fighters with their white outfit and with the black belt. Yeah, so you see the difference here. Usually in Western style, you would say, yeah, Brad, the black guy is the evil guy,
huh? Yeah.
Yeah, usually, huh? The one with the black shirt in the Western, John Wayne with the big beard, yeah, so he's the villain. Yeah, and the other one, the sheriff with the 5-pointed star on his breast and his white shirt and his white bright helm hat. Yeah, he's the good fella. Yeah, it's the other way around here, huh? Even then, when they have introduced the more color scheme of the 60s, 70s into a Game of Death after that, he was trying to make a movie which has an item of a leopard, and therefore he chose this yellow training suit with the black stripe, which of course has then been used by Kill Bill and all the alike. Yeah, he's doing here judo gripples on katakatami and all that stuff, arm bars and all the alike. Yeah, so he was using judo also, which is Japanese. Yeah, remember that he was always fighting to get rid of the old pathetic word escapes me. It's very, very hard word. Oh, what is it? a stereotype casting of a Chinese actor as only the servant, the cook, or what else. Yeah, so he was the first Asian hero or superhero on the screen. Was just 5'7.5". Now, of course, I have written many books about the subject. Of course, the book which is seen as the Bible on Bruce Lee Alive by Matthew Polly, we will go into this book. But I can tell you, there are so many, numerous things in that book which has been left out or has been portrayed inaccurately. I also have used the book Bruce Lee Fighting Spirit by Bruce Thomas. Yeah, and the book Unsettled Matters, The Life and Death of Bruce Lee by Tom Bleecker. And many more. So I have also many books in my possession which are 40 years old. Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do and all the stuff. I possess all this stuff which I have been purchased when I was 16, 17. Yeah. So these are the fans, and that is a very big no-no, because it's just following a man instead of God. Yeah, a fan means a device to make an air current. That's not what we meant. Yeah, but but
yeah, fan devotee 1889.
Yeah. Original
American English, originally of baseball enthusiasts.
Yeah, probably and not probably. I think that is definitely a shortening of fanatic. Yeah, so it may be influenced by the fancier collective terms of followers of a certain hobby or sport, especially boxing. And there you are with Bruce Lee. Yeah, see fancy. There is an isolated use and all the stuff, but fan means just to be fanatic about somebody. Yeah. So what does mean? Does it mean if it is called then fanatic? Come on, you can do it. Copy hyperlink. Yeah, the Bible is also important. So right computer here. Check. An insane person, Brett.
Insane person.
Yeah.
Yeah, Latin fanaticus. I see. Mad, enthusiastic, inspired by a god. Little g.
Yeah, what did we say about last time? He's Kung Fu Jesus.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Pertaining to a temple. From Phenom, temple, shrine, consecrated place. I think that usually people have never heard about the origin of that word, fanatic. So let's get it on.
Interesting. It says pertaining to a temple.
Yeah. It's a followers of a god.
Yeah,
their god.
It's worship. It's worship.
It's
yes.
worship. Yes, of course. It's worship. Satanic Media Agenda, Bruce Lee. It's worship. And it's not only worship of a man, it's also worship of the body, as you see, because he has been always displayed topless. Yeah, because he has had an awesome physique. He was very weak and ill as a youngster, and then happened to build an awesome physique, not because of extreme muscle mass, but of extreme definition, which means a low amount of body fat. And as I'm coming from a bodybuilding background, I can tell you a lot about it, and I have to admit I also did a study on that subject about 2 years ago, and I have never ever displayed and published that session yet, which I did in English. So that's also new to you, Brett. I did that also in the meantime. So that is not only that we are going into the man Bruce Lee, but all the other agendas around it. So what does the name Bruce Lee mean? The English language name Bruce arrived in Scotland with the Normans. Oh, Brett.
You know what's interesting about my family, Michael? My grandfather's father, my great-grandfather, when he came from Sweden, changed his name.
Mm-hmm.
He changed his name from whatever it was to Norman. And that's how we ended up with the Norman name. So I don't know my real... I don't even know.
You don't know your ancestry.
No, I don't. I don't care, because you know what the Bible says?
I know.
Endless genealogies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you see that this English name Bruce, because it was not his original Chinese name, of course, arrived in Scotland with the Normans, so with the people from Normandy. When the people from Normandy were heading towards Scotland. Yeah, so then the name Bruce was a commonplace. Robert the Bruce.
With the Normans, yes. That's funny.
Yeah. The surname Bruce is a surname of Scottish and French origins, but also with several other origins. In Scotland, it is derived from Clan Bruce. In some cases, it is derived from the French place named Bruce in Orny, while in others, it appears to be derived from Brie in Manche or Brou in Brittany, both in France. Yeah. That kept me thinking about something, because Bruce Lee also, when Bruce Lee was doing the sidekick Kato, first time presenting Kung Fu or Gung Fu to the American audience, he was the sidekick of the so-called comic strip adaptation of the Green Hornet in the United States television. And then he was, in one episode, they were the guests of Batman and Robin in 1966. Yeah, imagine. And the original name of Batman was Bruce Wayne. Yeah, Bruce also, of course, refers to the Scottish House of Bruce. Like Irish Kennedys, Scottish Rite Freemasons, Luciferians working for royal families.
Yeah.
See? Somebody
esoteric.
See, somebody in the hospital, according to the Bruce Lee Alive Matthew Polly biography, I think, if I remember correctly, it was a nurse. She came up with the suggestion to name him Bruce because he was born in America. So Bruce refers to the Scottish House of Bruce. Yeah, so Freemason Luciferians working for royal families. One website explains. And the waning cycle of the moon used the magic for destruction. Yeah, Bruce Wayne represents the personality, Batman the individuality. Yeah, it's of course. Yeah, you see that's the exoteric, and this is the esoteric, because in the night, Brett, this Bruce Wayne character, is then Batman. Out of a sudden, he develops as the character Batman. The Batman persona, or shadow dark side, that would be then here psychology from Carl Gustav Jung, is known through projection. Robin, on the other hand, from that Batman series, is diminutive of Robert, Scottish Robert the Bruce Templar bloodline. There are no coincidences whatsoever.
Guys are on our side, even though they don't know it.
It's a good thing those guys aren't in town every week.
We have here a Mexican standoff, a dead heat, a photo finish.
All right, stand back there. Come on, now make way. Come on, stand back, stand back.
Yeah, Brett, at least Scarlet Woman in the end, huh?
Yeah.
I know that everybody else could hear the sound, but Brett not. But trust me, yeah, you did not miss anything, because it is just that this man in suits, it's so hilarious 60s, huh? So this is that Bruce Lee has something to do with the Scotsman and Normandy and the clan of Bruce. Yeah, somebody came up with the name Bruce when actually his name was Li Yun Fan. Yeah, I have not inserted here, but Li Yun Fan. Actually, from his father's side, his father was an actor, professional theater actor, and later also movie actor, originally from the Peking Opera, so high-ranking actor, world-class actor in Chinese terms. And his mother is coming from the British side and is related to Mr. Robert Hotung. Mr. Robert Hotung, you see with all his medals here, wearing his decorations, has been died in 1956, aged 93 in Hong Kong. And Mr. Robert Hotung Bosman, look it up, was a knight of the British Empire. We talked about that Hong Kong has been occupied by the British until 1997, and the relative of Bruce Lee was a nobleman, a knight of the British Empire. So what do you think? Yeah, this is not the normal career from a dishwasher to millionaire, although it has been sold to the people. But all these sons of the Bruce Lee family, and there were 3 of it, if I remember correctly, they had really big careers. Yeah, his brother was in a boy band. He was a very prominent musician in Hong Kong. So this is not the regular family. Yeah, Bruce Lee happened to be an older brother and a younger brother. Bruce Lee was just another son of this actor. But what's really interesting is that from his mother's side there is nobility. He was a businessman and philanthropist. In British, in British Hong Kong, known as the Grand Old Man of Hong Kong. He was knighted in 1915 and 55. So before Bruce Lee hit the scene. Yeah, JP means a justice of the peace, a judicial officer of a lower or what else court, elected or appointed by means of commission, commissioner of the peace. So a peace judge, justice of the peace. Yeah. So it's really a handful. You see, he's not coming from a poor or unimportant family. Yeah, that's quite the opposite. His mother coming from nobility, and his father was just a so-called poor actor. But of course, his father was prominent, and that gained some profit. Yeah, and some advantages during the wartime. I don't expect you to read all these biographic issues that I had to read about it, but that's the thing. And now we're coming to the mother of Mr. Bruce Lee. Ho Kom Tong was a younger maternal half-brother of Robert, of this noble guy. The son of a Chinese father, he was a prominent businessman and philanthropist who succeeded Hu Fuk as head compradore at Jardines. He had 12 wives and reportedly more than 30 children. One of his children, Grace Ho Ui Yu, born 1907, died 1996, was the daughter of Chang Kyung Sik, a Eurasian who was Ho Kom Tong's mistress in China. Grace was adopted by him and later became the mother of martial artist and actor Bruce Lee. Yeah, so you got it. His mother married, so to speak, not in her, what is it, Brad peerage, yeah? Not nobility, but an average actor guy. So it must have been love. So because I think, if I remember correctly, she was losing her status as a noble participant of a highly regarded Hong Kong family then. But nevertheless, that's the thing to mention here. Robert and Margaret, speaking of the patriarch, were baptized as Christians late in life. Brett.
Mm-hmm. Catholics.
Yeah, you see, when he is a knight of the British Empire, he can't be Christian. Must be Catholic.
He cannot be Christian. That is right.
Cannot be Christian. Yes.
Cannot.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, you see what the lineage here is. Two sons, Sir Joseph Houghton, Knight of the British Empire, and Eric Houghton, Commander of the British Empire, like James Bond.
Yeah, that's right.
And two daughters who received the Royal Order of the Golden Ark for her work and blah, blah, blah. So don't come up with the fact that Bruce Lee was just a regular boy who was just having a career. That was never the case. And also, we have to remember, and I'm not doing 100 sessions on Bruce Lee. I could do this, but I don't intend to do this. So that means, actually, that he's coming from a family with a nobility heritage, on the one hand, as an actor, Chinese theater, on the other hand. So he was born into a family of actors. That's why his first and foremost profession was not a martial artist or a fighter, because he did not have any substantial fights. He did had some fights, of course, with some extras and all this stuff, and also with if I remember correctly, with the Hong Kong box champion, not only in the age of 18, but later on, but not anything that would have been recorded very well. So he was an actor first and foremost, and we have learned from the first session that his prime chief goal in life was to become rich and, of course, famous. $10 million in 1980. That was his goal. So it was to become rich. So you don't usually become rich as a martial artist alone. So if you give lessons to anyone, you won't achieve 10 million bucks, Brett.
No.
Yeah, and you will not achieve 10 million bucks by being a fighter. Because at the time you would achieve that, it's more likely that you have several broken bones and everything. So it does not make sense. If your chief goal is to make money, then of all the three professions he could have chosen would be first actor, second martial artist, third fighter in cage, MMA or whatsoever. Yeah, the most money he could make in 1970, because there were not martial artist combats which were really making big profits for the competitors, then would be an actor. So he chose the path of an actor, of course. And he was doing movies since he was 2 months old. Imagine.
Oh.
Imagine.
Yeah, that's right.
Imagine.
So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, Mike.
No, and that's the point. You have to achieve. You have to see the achievements. He had more than a handful videos when he left Hong Kong at the age of 18. Jui Ping Lei, Li Sui Lung in Hong Kong as Li Yun Fan. Yeah, so there are differences in Cantonese and what else in dialects. Yeah, and he was half American or half Eurasian. Yeah, so he was from his mother's side British, and from his father's side Chinese. So he was always torn between Asia and the West, or East and West. That's where I would like to start. Yeah, he was born on the 27th of November in 1940. And pardon me for going into the esoteric, but of course we have to look at some things. Brett, he's not born in Hong Kong. That makes him an American citizen.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
San Francisco, was it?
San Francisco was it, yes. That's why they call him Sino-American, which means half American, or Chinese American actually. Yeah, so you got both sides in that character. That's why they had to come up, I think, with an English or American surname called Bruce. Now, I don't want to teach astrology here. But it's very interesting when you think about our Kennedy sessions. When we saw that something happened at 12:30 And now we got something here where you only need common sense. You do not need anything of knowledge about the fact. You only have to look at through this light, colorful, bright circle, Brett. And I have not educated you onto the subject because it is forbidden to use astrologers as a kind of a divination or a kind of prophecy. The only thing that we are doing here is to really see for your naked eye, for your common sense, when Bruce Lee had been born. What happened at the moment then Bruce Lee was born on 7 o'clock, 7:12 a.m. in the morning in San Francisco. It is quite obvious, and you do not have to know anything about astrology, only the fact that AC means sunrise and DC means sundown. So when was he born, Brett?
Well, you said, it says right here, 27th of November, 1940, at 7:12 a.m. in San Francisco.
Yeah, but what happened at the moment from the sun? What did the sun do at this very moment when he was born? You see, the sun is exactly here on the ascendant, AC.
Okay.
Yeah? So that he was born exactly at sunrise.
Okay.
Yeah? So you do not need to have any interpretation, but you see from
the little sun symbol, you mean? The
yes,
circle
yes,
with the dots.
yeah. Sorry, yeah. That's the sun here, the circle with the dot. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah, that's a problem. If I do things for 30 and more years, you see that these symbols are so common to me.
No, it's okay.
Shall we do it again?
I have a little bit of a background. I have a little bit of a background at looking at these things, but yeah, go ahead. No. This is just fine, Michael.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
just fine.
Yeah.
It's just fine.
This only shows you that he was exactly born at sunrise.
Yes.
And when you know that the family of Bruce Lee, they were very superstitious. We will go into this I think, quite later.
Well, yeah, because the East has a lot to do with the pagan traditions, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you would have to exchange here. The left side is east and the right side is west, because usually the sun goes up in the east and the sun sets at the west, in the west. Yeah. So, but this dot with the circle is the sun, and so therefore everybody knew, not only the mother but everybody who was present knew. Oh, it's 7:12. Oh, Bruce is crying. Wah! Yeah, he's been born, and at the same time, yeah, the sun is rising. Yeah. So what would you think if you are superstitious? Yeah, and you got a son born in America.
I have a rising star.
Yes. Yeah, you see how simple it could be if you got a kind of common sense in it.
Yeah.
So you see that the symbol of the Japanese flag is the morning sun, or the sun, the red sun, actually. Yeah, so they are worshipping the sun as deities and all the stuff. Many people do this. Yeah, and so that means that
this
he's
is ancient. Yes.
Yeah, but if you are a superstitious, and if you are a Taoist, a Hinduist, a Buddhist, or if you are anything else, I do not. If you're a Catholic and you worship the sun without even knowing it,
right?
So it means if your son has been born in a foreign country, in a big city, San Francisco, yeah, in a big city, even 1940 standards, big city. Or even in today's standards, 1940 big city, you would say that, oh yeah, this boy is gonna make it big. It's just a hint. Yeah, you see all these planets here, and the moon is not a planet actually, but it's oh, if we start with the Bible, there are sun and moon are no planets, so to speak. They rise and fall, but it's so complicated to go into this now. And you see that several planets here have been, are visible here during his.
You may as well just say it, Michael. As several Roman gods are visible.
Yeah. Yeah,
in
usually
this monstrance.
Okay, I will leave it like that. My point is that if somebody has been born exactly at sunrise, then usually the
Yes.
people would say, yeah, it's a rising star. Yeah, so that it comes to light into fruition. Yeah, it's extremely vital and all the stuff. Interestingly enough, he was very weak and ill in the first years of his existence. Yeah, unless he started to do martial arts at a teenager, so to speak. Many people claim at 13, but it was quite later. But he was extremely fast in comprehending also all that stuff. So this is just the first hint that he was born exactly at sunrise. Okay, so I'm not going into the interpretation of everything, but of course it would be very interesting. But nevertheless, yeah. Usually you would say, okay, the sun is in Sagittarius, yeah, so that's like when you don't come up with it.
No.
Centaur. A Centaur, yes.
We pronounce it centaur.
Our Centaur, okay. Yeah, your Centaur, yes. And usually now they would say that, there is another...
Cyclops.
Yeah. You were irritated.
I was close, but not close.
You were irritated for that circle with the point in the middle. Yeah, that's not an eye, that's the sun. But okay. Yeah.
That's right.
But apart from that would nowadays it would not be in Sagittarius, but because now they have 13 star signs. You see, 13, of course, it's
Oh yeah.
the number of disobedience and revolution. Kabbalism, yeah. That would be the serpent holder, yeah, because it's the Ophiuchus. I can't pronounce that correctly.
Serpent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's interesting times, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah. It's very interesting.
The age of the serpent. Yes.
Yeah. It's after Scorpio and of course and before Sagittarius, and there's now the serpent holder. They claim. Yeah. Speaking of serpent holder, Brett.
Yeah. Doctor Who.
It's not it's not only a fixed star sign, the serpent holder or Ophiuchus, but it's also a depiction of the World Disease Organization.
Yeah, that's WDO.
That when that guy is born, and that is a composite picture, Brad. This is just Photoshop.
Oh yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
Can you imagine? His first movie was in 1941, Golden Gate Girl, when he was 2 months old. And he was in a movie from that Chinese female director. Can you imagine? A Chinese female director in 1941 doing a movie in San Francisco. How awesome is that? Can you remember of any female directors in the West in 1941? And then you topple that, Brett. On top of it, then you switch around in a matriarchal society in China or Hong Kong, yeah, and you got a Chinese director, filmmaker in the United States. I'd say that she has to have a big vitamin or very good relationships to whom else, yeah? The name of her is Esther Eng. Of course, that's the half Chinese and half... American name of it. Yeah, the first one was 1936, and then she directed 4 US features: Golden Gate Girl, 1941, the screen debut of baby Bruce Lee, and whom else? And I looked it up, and I had a really hard time to look it up. I have to admit, I really had a hard time because the Wikipedia entry does not reveal much interesting stuff about it. Yeah, so Esther Eng, nobody would wrong computer. Esther Eng, it's hard to pronounce his Chinese name. Kamha. She was the first female director to direct Chinese language film in the United States. Brett, San Francisco. You know that city.
Oh yeah.
It's been seen for
I've been there a couple times at least.
You were okay.
Oh yeah, we went to California when we were children. Our whole family drove down there, and we went to Chinatown. I remember it specifically. I have memories of it. I think it was probably around 10 years old or something. And then of course I was there to visit my friend in 2008. I believe it was, or was it later? I forget now. Yeah, it was 2008. I was in San Francisco. I got a video of it, actually.
Wow.
I made a video of my trip to visit my friend down in
here in
San
the west.
Francisco.
Here in the west, they see San Francisco, of course, with the usual bridge and with these streets running up and down.
You know, it's funny, Michael. The very first video that I put up on YouTube that I made myself was that video of going to San Francisco. And I used some music in the video. Of course, got a copyright strike, and they muted the audio back then. And that's basically how I started my YouTube channel, was with that video. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so see, this female director, she was, of course, coming from a certain important influential family, because her father and his business partners created a film production company with her as a producer. Can you smell that she was being engaged with some higher social circles? Because usually we know that there are some secret societies ruling all these movie companies.
Yes, good point, Michael.
Yeah, and also you have to have a big backup if you do movies with who are demanding lots of money and costs and production and all the stuff. And then you got a female director at the age of 19. 19 being the number of the sun in tarot. But, and it's a big but, you see, I have looked a little bit further, and to my knowledge, she's a lesbian. Can you imagine that there were some people who were trying to promote certain things quite early on? That would be my guess. That would be my guess.
Sure.
Nobody hands over a production of an American movie to a 19-year-old Chinese. Come on, you have to have very good relations. Yeah, so I cannot find so much. I know that there are some biographies, but actually, to go into every nitty-gritty, yeah, she was at least openly lesbian, and that may have been a favor for her. Yeah, homosexuality was an accepted part of the Cantonese opera in which she associated with. Around the time that Heartache, 1936, I remember correctly, was released, Esther Eng changed her name from Ng to the more easily pronounceable Eng. She died from cancer. That's very sad.
Only 55, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but so much so. Yeah, and that was the first movie that Bruce Lee starred in, was Golden Gate Girl, or Tears in San Francisco, a Hong Kong drama film made in San Francisco in 1941. Release date May, and I know that Bruce Lee stayed in San Francisco for 3 months, so until February, so that must have been shot when he was 2 to 2.5 months old. Somewhere around this. Yeah, so the movie itself is not that interesting, I think. Yeah, it is just that Bruce Lee is in it as a child, so he was ordained to become an actor. I think it should receive an Academy Award. So I found that extremely interesting that it is in San Francisco, and San Francisco is has a certain meaning.
Oh, yes.
Because for me, Brett, it's obvious, because it's much more shorter to go east to the west side of the United States than to go across or even cross the United States to the east coast. Yeah, so the Chinese are more likely to be more prominent on the west side, on the west coast.
Right.
And also, please bear in mind that there was a kind of gold rush then in the 19th century, but we are soon approaching that item here. Because now I invite you to San Francisco. And as I said, this is the most prominent symbol of San Francisco, of course. No, it's not the two towers. Yeah, it's San Francisco. Francisco.
Francis, yes.
Francis, yeah, this is the saint which never was a saint. And in the Roman Catholic Church, the dead ones are the saints and not the living ones. These are the saints, and he's depicted here with the cross, which is the sun symbol, and the symbol with the T of Tammuz, and with the dove, which depicts a peace symbol, and as well as the Holy Spirit. And he's dressed like a monk, yeah, with his corona on top. Yeah, actually, it's been called a corona. In German or in Latin, it's a tonsur, but it depicts as a corona because it's like a crown on the head. As well, it is forbidden in the Bible, if I remember correctly, Brad.
Yes.
So that's what Francis of Assisi, where the so-called sect of Franciscans were derived from. The Holy Francis of Assisi, allegedly leading a very poor life, has been officially then been the source of the name of the current Pope Francis, who is not a Franciscan, by the way. He's a Jesuit. Yeah, you see here these symbol, this emblem of the Knights Templars, as well as a broken cross. So many hints, and as well the head of Dagon, the fish god. So you see many items which have nothing to do with the real Christian belief. Yeah, you see the ring here also, and etc., etc., etc. And this is Pope Francis, or in his original name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, Latin Franciscus, Spanish Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco. Yeah, you see that it's a Spanish name then, Francisco. The 266th and current Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, which is not a Christian church, it's a Catholic church. Catholic means it's universal. He was elected, yeah? So he's not coming from an apostolic... help me out, Brett.
Apostolic succession.
Succession, yes. On 13th of March 2030, at I can tell you the time, at 7:06 a.m., which is another 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. You can look it up. He chose the name of Francis to honor Saint Francis of Assisi, and I think that's absolutely unlikely, because he's not a Franciscan, he's a Jesuit. Therefore, I'd say that has another origin. By the way, in 2015, that Pope released a progressive rock album titled Wake Up. Yes, music album with his words and prayers. Wake up before you go. The problem that I have got is now that it struck me actually, because we will soon go into progressive rock and rock music and all the stuff in the United States. Yeah? So, as he is a Jesuit, he will never choose the name of a Franciscan, of Francis of Assisi, but of Francis Xavier, IHS. Yeah, so the Jesuits with the sun symbol. Here you see the sun rays, yeah, the straight lines and the serpent lines. Yeah, main.
Yeah, the INRI.
Yes. Yeah. INRI, yeah. Neka Re.
It's a really tough one. This is Latin for it's just and noble to kill heretical kings and princes and rulers or whatever it is. It's esotericism. They're teaching you one thing.
Justum nega regis impios. Oh.
Yeah,
that's it. Mm-hmm. It's really early on here. It's really early on here. Yeah, where to start? Francis Xavier. So Francis Xavier, SJ, Society of Jesus, Societas of Jesus. Now you think of it. If your current Pope is a Jesuit, why should he use Franciscan? But of course he will choose a Jesuit. And Francis Xavier, and now it gets really interesting, was a Spanish one. Hence the name San Francisco, which means the Holy Francis. That's the first hint. The second hint is, born in the city or the town of Xavier in the kingdom of Navarre, present-day Spain, he was a companion of Ignatius of Loyola and one of the first 7 Jesuits who took vows of poverty and chastity at Montmartre, Paris, in Paris, so Paris in France, 5034. 6 years before they were officially been set into office from the papacy with the bull Regimini Militantis, so the military regime of the church, Regimini Militantis Ecclesia. He led an extensive mission into Asia, mainly the Portuguese Empire in the East, and was influential in evangelization work mostly in early modern India. Yeah, and now you see that would be much more fitting because, and that is very interesting, because he was one of the first Jesuits who ever gone to Asia. And then on the other hand, you got a Chinese population, a Chinese district in San Francisco called Chinatown. Let's look it up if you find Hong Kong here, or Macau. In late August 52, the Santa Cruz, of course you know what Santa Cruz means, Brett?
Santa Cruz. Boy, I forget what it
Santa
means.
means holy, and Cruz means cross.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, reach the Chinese island of Changshuan, 14 kilometers, so 8 miles away from the southern coast of mainland China, 200 kilometers southwest of what later became Hong Kong. Yeah, so he was in that area here. Yeah, and they made a church for Saint Francis Xavier in Macau. Macau is there where the Bruce Lee paradise is, Brett. What a coincidence. Yeah. Mind telling you that there are Jesuit high schools in Hong Kong too. Wah Yan College. Yeah. Look at their flag, please, Brett. It's a cross with 5 pentagrams and the insignia or the letters below in hoc signo vinces, IHS. Yeah, and when you then know that Bruce Lee attended the first school in San Francisco in Hong Kong as well, then there's very much Saint Francis Xavier all around Bruce Lee. So let's look it up. There is something in Macau. Oh, it's in Macau, okay. Yeah. And San Francisco has been prominent for other things because San Francisco is in an area where they are been very infamous for having earthquakes, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here's the Pacific Ocean, here's San Francisco, the Gulf of California. Here's Mexico down below. Yeah, and that's an area of 800 miles stretch here, where this famous St. Andrews.
San Andreas fault, isn't it?
St. Andreas, yeah, St. Andreas. Saint, huh? Saint again.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Where there were very prominent earthquakes in 1906 and 1989. Yeah, you can see much destruction here. 1989, 1906, San Francisco earthquake. Yeah, doesn't look pretty. And I was reminded of a movie which has something to do with a spy or commander of the British Empire in that regard. The guy is called James Bond, and this is from the James Bond movie A View to a Kill. Of course, the music from that movie came from Duran Duran. Everybody knows that. And he's presenting here a plan to destroy Silicon Valley. And I came up with that idea a few days ago, Brett, and I thought, okay, that's a smart idea, because they are presenting you some things beforehand, maybe. So,
Right.
Yeah,
preconditioning.
Preconditioning. Yeah,
predictive programming.
Predictive programming. Yeah, on the one hand, and then look at the thing that he says, Silicon Valley near San Francisco. And of course, if you really think of that there is the computer semiconductor industry located there nearby San Francisco, in that high density area, and of course in that earthquake area, then that could lead to a total blackout or a total eruption of world's economy, Brett. Because everything runs on computers nowadays. And of course that would also have a devastating effect on the American economy, hence the dollar and all this stuff. If the American economy would be hit by an earthquake, then they would say, oh yeah, that's higher powers, the government cannot do anything but to announce a national state of emergency. And therefore you get rid of all your civil rights. Or the majority of it, Brett. So that would be my 2 cents about it. We have spoke about it, that in Matthew 24,
for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines.
Yeah, that's why they are presenting you The Economist, the coming food catastrophe, because they know absolutely what they are playing. They're playing according to the Bible, and the Bible predicts that there will be famines. And it's not limited to, let's say, Africa or Asia. And then you look up to the next thing.
Oh yes, pestilences, of course, and earthquakes in diverse places.
Yeah, and there you go with these, with my prediction that maybe they are planning some attack on the Silicon Valley, on the St. Andrew area. Might be, don't know, but it's just a thing. And
St. Andreas, yeah. San Andreas, yeah.
Yeah. So it has been named quite often, this San Francisco Bridge, for example, the Planet of the Apes, and of course Dirty Harry. It's very interesting when Clint Eastwood happens to be a Freemason and a Jesuit at the same time, Brett. He rushes over the location where Scorpio revealed that a victim was buried. And he's looking down to the Golden Gate Bridge. Now think about it. Didn't we tell about that Bruce Lee was being born at sunrise? And didn't we talk about that Bruce Lee officially his sun sign was Sagittarius, but nowadays it would be the Serpent Holder, because now Sagittarius been divided between Sagittarius and the Ophiuchus, this serpent holder, this alleged 13 star sign. But more interesting also that it is about here the Zodiac Killer. It has to do something with astrology, the Zodiac Killer. I'm not making anything up, and I won't extend the sessions, but it's just very interesting when you see all these similarities here. We could go very deep into this, but it's not. I just want to restrict it to Bruce Lee and what's coming up next. So now this was filmed here in front of the Golden Gate Bridge at that very spot here, most likely. The first thing, but you keep in mind, is the hymn for San Francisco. Be sure to wear flowers in your hair, which means that San Francisco was a symbol of the flower generation, or the 60s in general. Yeah, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. Summertime will be a love in there. There's a whole generation with a new explanation. And we will come to this quite later, because I would like to skip it. Now, San Francisco is a city in California, United States, founded in 1776 by the Franciscans of the Catholic Church. Of course, so after Friends of Assisi, they claim, after the Jesuits were expelled in 1768, Brett. So, of course, they have to come up with that lame excuse that it has been named after Francis of Assisi, because they could not name that city after a Jesuit. After the Jesuits were expelled in 1768.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing as hiding something, which I found very amusing, actually.
Right. Hidden in plain sight.
Hidden in plain sight. And look, they got everything you need. They got also a Golden Gate Bridge. They got a Golden Gate Park. They got Haight-Ashbury Community. They got, Twin Peaks. I said, that's very interesting. Twin Peaks in San Francisco. My, oh my, oh my, oh my. Shall I be reminded of something else? That's Twin Peaks.
Right.
That's Twin Peaks. And I said, that's very interesting, because Twin Peaks is a mystery series about the murder of a young woman with the abuse of cocaine and working as a prostitute, or at least part-time prostitute, and that she's in so-called hell. Yeah, of course, you see black, you got serpent lines, you got the black-red scheme, yeah, you got Saturn, so Satan, a planet symbol of Satan. Yeah, welcome to Twin Peaks. According to legend, they wanted to have just a small figure of inhabitants in that artificial town which never existed and is close to the border of Canada, so could not resemble San Francisco, but in the state of Washington somewhere, I think it was. And then they had just added a 1, because usually they wanted to have 5120, so just merely miserable population of 5,000 instead of 51,000. So taking that into context, I think that maybe they would tell us something else. So I just reversed it as a 1st of February 1951. Maybe, yeah. What happened then was the first telecast, so the first television broadcast of an atomic explosion. I said, oh, that's interesting. But I do not know if that is a reference to it. What I find hilarious, Brett, that if you be reminded of the Science of the New Religion series, how close they are to that deadly explosion of a so-called atomic bomb.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they don't even wear masks.
No.
My. Yeah. Yeah, so there is a Golden Gate Park, and there is everything else that you need. Patch. The Recreation Park in San Francisco, California. And I said, oh, California, Brett, California. I want to have an explanation about California, and there you got it. California was named after Kali Yuga, leading to a golden age. Kali Yuga in Hinduism is the 4th and worst of the 4 yugas, world ages in a yuga cycle, preceded by Dvapara Yuga and followed by the next cycle, Satya Yuga. It is believed to be the present age, which is full of conflict and sin. Huh? The Kali means strife, discord, quarrel, or contention, and is associated with the demon Kali. Not to be confused with the goddess Kali. Oh, I bet none of them had ever existed. Yeah, so that California has not a positive content.
No.
Okay, let's get it on. 1776, the year that had been established here, was the year of the founding of the Bavarian Illuminati by Jesuit and Catholic professor of the church Adam Weishaupt on May the 1st, or better said on Beltane, on the witches' celebration, 30th of, the 30th of April. Yeah, that's the sign of the California Republic, of course. And this is, for example, Oakland. It has nothing to do with Roman columns here. Yes, yeah. So, that's the alchemical phoenix symbol on its flag. History of San Francisco. Let's get it on. History of San Francisco. 1768, the Spanish Jesuits are expelled from Baja California. The mission is transferred to the Franciscans, hence the name. Spanish agents, that must be 17, of course, 1796, agents of the Catholic Church conquer San Francisco Bay. Establishment of the Presidio at the Golden Gate, establishment of Chinatown, which is the Chinese section, California gold rush leading to widespread mercury contamination. 1851, the Jesuits established Santa Clara University. 1861, Pascal Beverly Randolph founds Rosicrucian Lodge Fraternitas Rosicrucis, practicing sex magic. What everybody else does, Crowley, OTO, and all that stuff. 1872, founding of the Bohemian Club. Schwarzensbergs of Holy Roman Empire also created skull and bones with the Golden Gate symbol in San Francisco. With gatherings at the Bohemian Grove with O statue. Founding of Stanford University. Rudyard Kipling, The Jungle Book, visits San Francisco. 1906, San Francisco earthquake. Then we got 1933, Brad.
Building of the Golden Gate Bridge. Spine with 33 vertebrae, excuse me.
Yeah. DNA strands, Nietzschean idea of humans as bridge, as Übermensch. Alcatraz, nicknamed The Rock, which within Jupiter, is used as a prison for Al Capone and Robert Stroud. Meeting of Thelemites, Winfried Talbot Smith and Charles Frederick Russell. Ring, 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 Russell. Wasn't it the Russell family who been then establishing the Jehovah's Witnesses? I was correct. Charles Taze Russell. Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, so maybe related to this. Let's get it on. 1941, the Maltese Falcon of John Huston in Chinatown. Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall. The Maltese Falcon being a statue, officially made out of gold, but then been colored with the dark stuff somewhere. Extremely precious. I really like that film. Do you know that movie, The Maltese Falcon?
No.
But you know what is related. What kind of organization?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
SMOM?
SMOM, yeah, sure. The Maltese Falcon. Of course. Yeah, the Maltese Falcon. Humphrey Bogart. Oh, it was not Lauren Bacall. It was Mrs. Astor here. Okay, I'm mistaken. I thought it was Lauren Bacall.
That was in 1941?
That was in 1941, yes.
Strange.
Humphrey Bogart, the Maltese Falcon. Yes, there you got it. Mary Astor, yes. At least there's a Mary in Maltese, huh? Because the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, they are worshipping Mary, of course, like the Jesuits. Yeah, so it has to be Mary Astor. 1950, building of Silicon Valley. Yeah, CIA-controlled hippie trend in Los Angeles, LSD research and all the like. San Francisco's be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. Been pinned by John Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas and Summer of Love rituals and all the stuff. Yeah, it's all running in San Francisco. San Francisco Pride. Yeah, so gay. Yeah, remember Esther Eng as a lesbian film director?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, 1971 promotion Dirty Harry with Jesuit Clint Eastwood. Yeah, and so on and so on and so on and so on. 2013, Jesuit Pope Francis as head of the Catholic Church, St. Peter's Rome with Golden Gate symbolism. 2014, Godzilla at the gate of course, Golden Gate. Terminator, so Schwarzenegger director, or what's the name of the Titanic, James Cameron, and all the like. Yeah. So San Francisco, origin of the name. San Francisco Golden Gate. The bridge was named after the natural entrance to San Francisco Bay. This entrance, the Golden Gate, is 1.6 kilometer wide, which makes the equivalent of 1 mile. The bay entrance received its name Golden Gate or Chrysoplay around 1848 during the gold rush in California from Captain John C. Fremont, whom the strait reminded of the Golden Horn Greek Chrysokeras in Constantinople. That is the official explanation of Wikipedia. Yeah, that would be here. Constantinople bread. It has something to do with a Roman emperor called Constantine, which was then the capital city, or the biggest city there, Constantinople, or later Istanbul. Yeah. The golden chain of the Golden Horn, Constantinople's barrier. Yeah, so there's a big chain in the harbor. Can you see this? Okay. So, but this is just the exoteric explanation. That's his Golden Gate has something to do with the gold rush, because bread is the Golden Gate Bridge golden.
It's not.
It's not, yeah. So why does they call it the Golden Gate Bridge when it's not golden? Why it is orange or red?
Yeah, it almost looks like when I was there, it almost looked like a brick red to me, but
yeah,
that's only what I remember of it. It probably is a burnt orange. Yeah, burnt orange, I think is what you call it.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. You see, that depends on the light, actually. Huh? So maybe it's just a dark red here.
There you go. That's the one. That's kind of what it looked like when I was there.
Okay, so now comes an explanation of somebody else. They say it has an orange tone in it, and it has a severe meaning of orange, because, of course, orange is the numerical value of 33. That's the equivalent of orange. 33. 33 is the highest rank of
Freemasonry.
Freemasonry. Remember, Bruce has something to do with the Normans going to Scotland, and the clan of Bruce has something to do with Scotland, huh? The construction began in 1933. Another 33. There's also a Golden Gate Tower, for example. Yeah. Since the Greek inherited much of their wisdom from the Egyptians, it's more than reasonable to suspect that the gate or portal mentioned in the Book of the Gates, through which the pharaoh enters the netherworld, is, in fact, the Gate of God that the Greek writer Macrobius writes about. The Gate of God was also called the Golden Gate, while the Gate of Man was called the Silver Gate. Huh? Where do we find gold and silver?
The coat of arms of the papacy.
Yes. You see,
that's what you're looking at when you see a red badge-like symbol with the two keys and the mitre with the ribbons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you see the silver is just for the ordinary man, for the material aspect, and the Golden Gate is just for God, or the man who claims himself to be God, or the
man of sin.
The replacement of God, yes.
The man of sin in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Read it for yourself.
The very same Egyptian cross symbolism used by the pharaohs associated with the golden and silver gates of the soul and the sun can still be recognized in the coat of arms of the Vatican, consisting of the two cross keys, one golden, one silver. Who knows this?
Only those who have studied this from the Protestant viewpoint, which I think these days is practically extinct, Michael.
Yeah.
Practically.
I told you that Bruce Lee has starred in a movie called The Golden Gate Girl. In numerical letters, Golden Gate Girl would be the equivalent of 777. Or 3 times G. 777 is a prominent book of the occultist, British agent and Satanist Aleister Crowley. 777 other Kabbalistic writings of Aleister Crowley. The background is another background of the Kabbalah, 777 being numerical values of the Hebrew alphabet, but it's very interesting then when we had this COVID ritual in Germany here. Yeah, we had the order of 3G. So you have to be vaccinated, you have to be recovered, or you have to be tested. Yeah, everything starts with the G in German language. Yeah, so 3G. 777. See, the average guy who has just a school education has absolutely no chance to look through all this stuff. And that's why we are doing these sessions here. Yeah. So the numerical values, yeah, they are keen on Jesuits, for example. They are absolutely fanatic, yeah, about mathematics, and therefore also gematria, of course.
Well, fanatic, well, that's one thing. How about obsessed? How about
Yeah.
like we talked in the beginning of the session?
Yeah.
What was the word, Michael? Obsessed? No,
Obsessed,
not obsessed.
yes.
What was it? What was that word we were talking about? I forget all this stuff.
Possessed?
Was it possessed or was it something else?
That's at least two.
Oh, like a fanboy thing, you know?
Yeah, fanatic, yes. Mm-hmm.
Fanatic, that's
fanatic,
the thing.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Fanaticism.
Yeah, and
They're
you know
mad
that.
with it, yeah.
Yeah, Babylon also had been a gateway of the gods. So Babylon actually means the gate of God. And apart from that, you know that Babylon contains the Ishtar gate, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so contains also another gate. And that happens to be on the 33 degree parallel as a capital. It's the same degree as Dallas, for example. Yeah, the city Tuba named after the star Tuban, at that time the pole star between the Big and the Small Dipper, the tail of the constellation Draco, means the dragon. Yeah, I know that he tried to fool us. Yeah, so in the constellation of Draco also. The constellation of Draco, the story of the dragon. Yeah. And Dracula also, the vampire. Yeah. Yeah.
Almost looks like Peter Gabriel on a bad day.
Yeah, you know that is that is of course Sir Christopher Lee. At least he's a commander of the British Empire. I cannot remember everything from memory, but he's on the line of Charles the Great, Charlemagne. So it's all Catholic propaganda, huh? Yeah. So the Babylonian had Venus, their whore of Babylon, the nickname Melita. Saturn is worshipped as Shabbatai on the Sabbath. The moon is worshipped as Nana or Sin, with Babylon as Sin City, the god of thunder. Terra Quava is worshipped in temples like the House of Tammuz, where people stay for 28 days. Of course, that's a moon cycle. Slaughter sheep, eat and drink food with mushrooms, mourning in the house of Dilbert. So it's a god of thunder. It's all ancient gods. He's dressed as a dragon. Come on, it's so easy. Not knights in certain Satan service. It has nothing to do with that. Yeah, that means the kiss of betrayal. Babylonians.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sagittarius, so that the bow and arrow, yeah, you see that running up that hill from Kate Bush when she says to have a deal with God and to change places so that she wants to be God. Do at what you wilt and ye shall be as gods. Kate Bush running up that hill where God is, yeah, with Sagittarius. Yeah, Sagittarius is the bowman or the bow girl. Yeah, so that's also a reference to Sagittarius, yeah. Yeah, so the celestial gates, portals of ascension and descent. Yeah. Didn't we learn, Brad, that Bruce Lee's son was on the ascent? So there's a silver gate and a golden gate. Greek astrologers spoke of two gates in the heavens, the silver gate and the golden gate, which were called the gate of man and the gate of God in Vedic astrology. Vedic means Indish, so from India. Not Indians, but India. Yeah, so in Asia. Most ancient cultures believed that between incarnations of this planet, souls dwelled in the Milky Way. The Greek writer Macrobius, among others, said that during a solstice, the alignment of the sun with the ecliptic, which is not quite correct, but this just depends on the heliocentric system which they teach, the corresponding gate opens. Souls could incarnate on earth by descending through the silver gate or could ascend to the heavens through the golden gate. Aha. Now we have an impression what is all that the meaning is something very occult of the golden gate, which is orange-red and not golden, and it's not about these gold rush. If you believe that, you are free to believe it. I don't buy that. The golden gate is at 5. Oh, that is. Is that correct here? The Golden Gate is at 5 degrees Gemini, near Galactic Center in Sagittarius. The Silver Gate is at Galactic Anticenter, 5 degrees Sagittarius, above the hand of Orion. In ancient times, the Maya focused on Galactic Center, which they called the heart of sky. On the other side of the planet, which is not a planet, the Egyptians kept a close eye on Orion, and especially the Egyptians one. The river of living waters from the Mother's Creatrix, rainbow crystal waters, flows out from the throne of God and unify into the dimensional door of the Golden Gate. The highest emanation of this mysterious elixir is both silver and gold, the chalice of God, which opens a portal to the Golden Gate. You have to believe this. If you are not familiar with the Bible, then you do not know that all these mystics and traditions and all the stuff are nothing else but to distract you from the Bible. I'm sorry that I'm using so much time on that, but my point is quite another reference soon. Brett, to sum it up here with the Golden Gate, which we quite soon will achieve. We know there are two gates, the Golden Gate and the Silver Gate. The Golden Gate was from God and the Silver Gate was from man, right?
What are we talking about?
In ancient mystics, there are two silver gates at the galactic center, so at the fixed star signs. That's one. The Golden Gate from the God is at 5 degrees Gemini.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the Silver Gate is 5 degrees Sagittarius. Now, if you know that. We know that the Vatican is using the golden key and the silver key.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you need a key for?
You need a key to get in the door.
Yes, or alternatively, you could open a gate.
Sure. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
So 5 degrees Gemini is the Golden Gate for the gods, and 5 degrees Sagittarius is the galactic anti-center for the Silver Gate. And now we will soon, oh my, not another thing again. This is all the explanation for it. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. No, the serpent bearer, huh?
Yeah. The Golden Gate Sagittarius. It's Gnostic knowledge and all this. This is all BS, of course, yeah? Yeah. In 2016, the NASA spread the rumor that the zodiac actually has 13 signs with Ophiate Chorus or the serpent holder, serpent bearer as the 13th. 13 would be the Judas. The Gnosticism is called the 13th of demons. Yeah.
Gnosticism, yeah.
Gnosticism, yes. Yeah,
well, that's kind of where we're going with this, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to have a solution for you, and soon we have a solution for you. Ophiuchaios as a DNA letter symbolism is used in the Planet of the Apes franchise. Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of Planet of the Apes is set in San Francisco with the Golden Gate Bridge, home of Silicon Valley transhumanist, with James Franco as scientist playing with forbidden knowledge to cure his father's Alzheimer caused by mercury. Which is an added item to every vaccination, by the way. The snake entwined rod is the logo of the World Health Organization, used as a savior as the corona ritual. Yeah, we have talked about that. Yeah. Further symbolism is Legolas, the archer Sagittarius. Yeah, the one with the bow and arrow. Yeah, the same as Kate Bush, as I told you. Guardians of the Galaxy. And now they explain that to you that the Vatican is using that kind of astrology, mystery, mysticism, Vedic explanations and all the stuff in their symbol. Yeah, but Matthew 16:19 and Matthew 18:18 gives you quite an additional explanation, I think.
Yeah. Matthew 16:19 reads, "And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever shalt thou loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." And in Matthew 18:18 it says, "Verily I say unto you, whosoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven."
Yes, but the Bible is a spiritual book. And of course, the Vatican will not explain it in a spiritual way, but in a material way. So they will say that all that the possessions you got, they belong to us, because our golden key lies on top of the silver key. So you cannot open your door to be famous, to be rich, to have $10 million in a possession to 1980, as long as you don't obey us.
That's right, because he's endowed with the honor of distributing mammon, isn't he?
Yes. Remember that the Silver Gate is at 5 degrees Sagittarius, and that Bruce Lee had been born in San Francisco, the city with the Golden Bridge, and also been named after the Holy Francis, in the time where the Jesuits were not present, they were expelled. So you can imagine that it has nothing to do with the Franciscans or Friends of Assisi, but of Saint-Francis Xavier. At least to the Chinese minority in Chinatown in San Francisco. Right? Because they don't know Friends of Assisi, but they know Francis Xavier more, because in Hong Kong they have several schools, colleges and everything else in Hong Kong and Macau. And also he was one of the first Jesuits who ever went to Asia. So, now as you know, that Bruce Lee has been born in San Francisco, in the city of the Golden Gate Bridge, yeah, and you know that the Silver Gate, yeah, which happens to be the gate of man, is at 5 degrees Sagittarius. Look where Bruce Lee's sun is, on which degree. It's 5 degrees and 40 minutes of Sagittarius. If you are now the family of Bruce Lee, and maybe you have something to do with Vedic astrology, which I do not know, you would say, oh my boy has been born when the sun has gone up, so he must be a rising star, and in 5 degrees Sagittarius, he's holding the silver key to material possessions.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that somebody else out there came up with this conclusion, but it immediately struck me when I said Golden Gate, Silver Gate, and all these degrees and astrology, and it had happened at sunrise, and I said, my, what a strange coincidence. What a strange coincidence. So, do you now understand why I went into that Golden Gate subject? It was not just to it was just to have a a meaning of all, because I know that Bruce Lee at least was very superstitious, and he did not believe in God. He said in one interview a few months before his demise, he said if he believed in God, and the answer from him was, frankly, I do not. Yeah, so he did not believe in any God, but in self-enlightenment and all that stuff. Yeah, but if you were born in San Francisco, in the city of the Golden Gate, at 5 degrees Sagittarius, and you have the keys of the silver key in your possession, yeah, he wanted to be rich and famous, and he was an actor. So that's quite, that's just the my explanation. Yeah, Golden Gate in Sagittarius. Yeah. He is otherwise explained Golden Gate in Sagittarius and Silver Gate in Gemini. Yeah, I don't care, because you see these are just two opponents. Gemini being the third and Sagittarius being the ninth sign, so it's an opposition here. So 5 degrees in either way is either the silver key or the gold key. You see that it's absolutely BS. Yeah, but to people in a superstition belief, this is so interesting. Yeah. People know that he has studied philosophy. Yeah, vain deceived. And also that quote, like a finger pointing to the moon and all the stuff, and with a cup of tea. These were just coming from Buddhist notions, from Buddhist philosophy and all the stuff. Yeah. That Buddha said, you imagine trying to show you the moon by pointing at it. The pointing finger is what guides you to the moon. Without the finger, you might not notice the moon. And I found it very strange that people always rely on Bruce Lee for that quote, when that quote is clearly coming from Buddha. You know, that is my key. If you really go deep into research, you find all these artifacts and you find all these deceptions there. Yeah, you clearly see that he's been attributing to Taoism and Buddhism. Jeet Kune Do. Do means the way. Tao means the way. Yeah, so it's the Tao of Jeet Kune. So it is absolutely Taoism what he's telling you. Also, please bear in mind that the Tao Yin-Yang symbol has been highly resembled on Bruce Lee, especially also on his death. And we will go into this also. Yeah, so all the things that he's coming up with, he has learned and he has read somewhere, but it's not from his origin. That's my point of it when it comes down to his philosophy. Golden Gate. Yeah, it represents a dimensional portal, a gateway to the galactic center or black sun. Yeah, he has depicted the Golden Gate clearly between Scorpio and Sagittarius, which would be much more severe also, Brad. Then it would not mean that he is in a possession of the material belongings, but he's in a possession of to become a god.
Well, you know, this drawing that we see in front of us reminds me a lot of the Pergamum altar sculptures.
Yeah, and also of transhumanism. Yeah, every time I see a centaur, yeah, it reminds me of something which is not ordained to be. Yeah, because God created everything after his kind.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's it. Of course, that would be the average explanation, but it's of course quite the tilting of the Earth, and that the Earth is spinning and all the BS. Yeah. Yeah, rituals were timed to the crossing of the ecliptic and galactic plane, the Silver Gate in Taurus, Belthani, and the Golden Gate in Scorpio, Halloween. Yeah, / Sagittarius, close to Ophiuchus, the snake holder. Yeah, I've researched that it is 5 degrees Sagittarius. Maybe it's also the dividing line between Sagittarius and Scorpio. It is a BS concept, but it tells you that the birth of Bruce Lee could be seen from a spiritual, from the superstition background also. Sagittarius was called the rainbow bridge of the tree of life to the pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. Find the end of a rainbow. That's what ABBA sings in Gimme, Gimme, Gimme Man After Midnight. At the end of a rainbow with the fortune to make, or something like this. The rainbow is associated with dissociation, symbolism of Wizard of Oz. Yeah. The Jews built the Golden Gate at the Temple Mount in Jerusalem as the gate through the Messiah will enter Jerusalem. The Golden Gate of Mercy is the only eastern gate of the Temple Mount and one of only 2 gates of the old city of Jerusalem that used to offer access into the city from the east side. The gate has been sealed since the Middle Ages. Its interior can be accessed from the Temple Mount. In Jewish tradition, the Messiah will enter Jerusalem through its gate, coming from the Mount of Olives. Reconstruction, yeah. In Jewish tradition, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
In Jewish tradition. The Golden Gate is located in the north third of the Temple Mount's eastern wall. That is really exhausting, all this information, when you really see that you won't have no result at all, but you've been tossed around between a rock and a hard place.
Mm-hmm.
Closed by the Muslims in 810, reopened in 1102 by the Crusaders. In relation to the Muslim belief Jesus of Nazareth is the Messiah, it suggested that Suleiman the Magnificent sealed off the Golden Gate to prevent a false Messiah or Antichrist coming through the entrance. Oh my. The Golden Gate. It is... In Christian apocryphal texts, the gate was the scene of the meeting between the parents of Mary, so that the gate became the symbol of the Immaculate Conception of Mary, and Joachim and Anne meeting at the Golden Gate became a standard subject in cycles depicting the life of the Virgin. It also said that Jesus, riding on a donkey, passed through this gate on Palm Sunday, in fulfillment of the Jewish prophecy concerning the Messiah. Some equated with the beautiful gate mentioned in Acts 3. My Brett. Brett.
Yeah.
You see, you can do 5,000 things. St. Peter's Basilica was built in Rome with an obelisk inside an 8-pointed star of Ishtar, or sign of Anu, 4 cardinal and 4 fixed signs inside a keyhole shape. That has nothing to do with this at the moment. I'm not...
Okay, Acts chapter 3 reads... Acts chapter 3 verse 2, and a certain man lame from his mother's womb was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple. Okay, so yeah. And then in 3:10 they were, and they knew that it was which he sat for alms at the beautiful gate of the temple. Okay, so yeah, they got to have the beauty there, huh? Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, okay. Vain deceit in our case, yeah.
That's what I had prepared. I had Ecclesiastics 1 prepared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Acts 3. Maybe there's an explanation for this. Belonging to the right hour or season.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I can't remember that we have touched that subject in our X series. So once again,
not in this regard.
not in that regard, yeah.
No, I don't think so.
St. Peter's Basilica was built in Rome with an obelisk inside an 8-pointed star of Ishtar, yes. Inside a keyhole shape, yes. Key to silver and golden gate. The obelisk represents the phallus of Osiris. Yes. The dome, the cover of Isis. Okay, yes. I can back that up with my knowledge, yes. The Golden Gate Bridge was built in San Francisco near Alcatraz. The rock Jupiter, ruler of Sagittarius. Yes, the city became a center of the Luciferian gay transgender religion with rainbow symbol Sagittarius, the Rainbow Bridge. Yeah, so many things. Yeah. Geneva, CERN Center, coats of arms with golden key, Genesis. Yeah, that I have looked it up here. Yes, that is CERN, Geneva, Switzerland. Knight Templar's land, of course, the golden key. Yeah, and you absolutely know then who's ruling in Geneva, huh? When there's a golden key depicted and half of the Roman eagle. Come on. They tell you right in the open.
They do.
Yeah, half the eagle of the Holy Roman Empire and one of the keys of St. Peter, the keys of heaven. Or the keys for the Golden Gate.
Well, some would regard that as a phoenix, not an eagle, but
yeah,
to me it's the same thing.
Oh, if I would then tell you that the parents of Bruce Lee, they were very superstitious. Guess what they come up with? They said that, oh yeah, they had a death child before, and to prevent the gods from intervening, they gave Bruce Lee a female name. So Li Junfan in Chinese is a female name, and they called him the Little Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's another hint if you really know that the phoenix is a symbol of birth and rebirth.
Yeah, it goes back to Phoenicia.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I wanted to present the English side, of course. Yeah.
Oh.
Because of his mother's superstitious nature, she had originally named him Siphon, which is a feminine name meaning small phoenix or little phoenix. The English name Bruce is thought to have been given by a hospital attending physician Dr. Mary Glover. Mary, yeah.
Again, Mary.
Yeah. It says everything has a purpose here. Yeah? Everything has a purpose here. Everything serves a purpose. Greek mythology. Yeah? Freemason use it. Phoenicians use it. Egyptians use it. There are many people who are using it. The rock band Queen uses it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, many people using it, yeah. Yeah.
That's for sure.
But you see that, then you really know that they are all just working together. Huh? You see here the double-headed eagle from the city of Geneva. Yeah, that's in Switzerland, and if you see the rays in it, and it's clearly sun rays here. It's so clearly sun rays.
Can anyone say Jesuits?
Yeah, and also Switzerland with the cross. You see how hard is it? Yeah.
Knights Templar.
Why? What is the reason, Brad, that Switzerland was not busy with the First or Second World War in Europe? Why has it spared out? Huh? What could it be? Why are the Swiss Guard the bodyguards of the
Vatican?
Pope, of the Pope? Yeah.
Or the Holy See, actually.
Yeah, the full coat of arms of Geneva, that's where CERN is, the laboratory where they will try to find God's particle, consists of the shield surmounted by a crest in the form of a half a sun inscribed with the initials Jesus Hominum Salvator. No, in this sign conquer. Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, that's, I have looked it up here. You see IHS, that seems to be here Greek letters also, yeah, but it's half a sun and IHS symbol and a golden key and half of a Roman eagle and after the darkness light, past tenebras lux Lucifer.
Yes, Lucifer.
Lucifer, yeah, yeah. You see it here again on this building, huh? With the Templar flag. I
Oh,
wonder how
before you
many.
know it, there'll be a car called Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Broken bridges represents mutated DNA. Gate symbolism was used in PSYOPs Watergate. Oh, bread gate.
Mm-hmm.
Pizza gate. Yeah, but usually Chinese actors, and this is Mickey Rooney. It's not a Chinese actor, but they make him look like Chinese. They were not famous. They did not want any Chinese actor. Yeah, but they thought they were so superstitious. Yeah, they thought there was a curse on the family because one child had been dying. So he received a female name. Yeah, they had already lost a son by the time that he came along, and then a pattern of and Phoenix, and which is a girl's name in order to confuse spirits who may have had an impact before. Yeah, so he's called Small Phoenix. To distract gods. You see, their gods must be so dumb, yeah, that they fall for a fake name which the parents gave him. Imagine that, right? And maybe somebody who has been given a female name has to prove later on that he's very masculine. That would be also very, in usual terms of psychology, very likely. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Phoenix, which is a girl's name in order to confuse spirits who may have steal his soul, they were no doubt terrified of losing another son. Yeah, that's why he got a female name. So if that is not superstitious, then I don't know what is, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So many people, including his parents, believed that they were all cursed. Yeah, and the reason is that why Bruce Lee died so young and his son also died very young. Yeah, Bruce would suffer several injuries, one of them bitten by a cobra. Yeah, if you play with fire,
you're going to get burned, yes.
Yeah. Luckily, its venom gland had been removed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's dead all around. Also with his son, Brandon Lee. Yeah, he'd been shot at the age of 28 at the set. Apparently by an accident, of course. Huh? But everybody is speaking of curse, and that's why I think that it derives from the family of Bruce Lee itself. Huh? So that's the last page of that script. Then you know my thoughts about the birth of Bruce Lee at the 27th of November, 5 degrees Sagittarius. The Golden Gate, as with the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, happened to be in Chinatown, because San Francisco got his name from Saint Francis Xavier, most likely the Jesuit which went to Asia, and not of the Francis of Assisi. Yeah, so that is very interesting that San Francisco has the name also that the current Pope has. Yeah, that's also the Pope Francis. Yeah, and so you know, for example, if that city, San Francisco, has been named after the Holy Francis, then I think that it's most likely that also the Pope will claim this city, San Francisco, his own property, Brett. And that's on that account I would like to close down that session.
Wow. That was a load, Michael. A lot of stuff to take in there. Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming, isn't it? Doing all this research and coming up with these things. That the origins, you know, when you go into California, it's what we would call a quagmire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is a nasty one. Although, you know, I've been to California several times. I would not want to live there for that reason. Just the land of quagmire.
Yeah, but you got
Trouble.
very cool weather, very good weather then, and we will go into California extensively later on. We will not miss it out because
No.
I have not the intention to go into every movie and he did this and he yelled that and all the stuff. That we will rush through that. But I found quite another interesting subject, yeah, which we will touch later on. So I hope that. It was an interesting session after all, and you really see that the majority of people out there are really superstitious, Brett, because there are very few people who believe in the Creator God, it seems. You see, all these
Well,
Buddhists...
and that's the thing, Michael. I believe that God, through his mercy, gives us that. It's a gift that we freely receive. The question is, are those willing to receive it? I think you need to ask before you receive, don't you? Don't you need to get down on your knees and repent before an almighty God in private before he's willing to show you these things? That would be my take on it, Michael. You know, that God does have mercy on his people, but you have to prove to God alone that you are his. It doesn't work the other way. It doesn't like, oh yeah, God's going to just forgive everybody. He won't forgive the wicked, especially since they never repent. I know it sounds harsh, but that's the truth. We need to repent of our wickedness. And we need to pray to God for forgiveness because he's the only Redeemer. We're not the Redeemers. Man is not the Redeemer. Although through his foolishness, he preaches. And that's what we do, Michael, in our own little way. We preach the word of God because we live it and we believe it. We have real faith. But there are those that want to take that away. And I think that's what they're synthetically trying to do, Michael. They're trying to take away the ability to have contact with our Creator through the body that was created by our Creator to worship him. It's a very dangerous world, a very wicked place we're at today. A post-COVID world. Thank you, Michael. I think, you know, we will definitely dive deeper into this circumstance later on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Michael's going to have to say about his research in Bruce Lee in this series. And we'll leave this surprise till then, Michael. Thanks again. God bless, and Lord, come quickly.